We paid money before we could get into the farm. He talked about drugs. Those who follow me on social media, there was a time I wrote about drugs. You don't want to hear it. The percentage of Nigerian youth on drugs is about 80. Various kinds of drugs, from ecstasy to amphetamines to even undefined drugs, dangerous alkaloids from plants like ewe akọ ìbẹ́pẹ, tó bá ti ṣáná sí, tó bá ti mú iṣẹ́ nìyẹn. And the shepherd and paraga you hear about are steeped in alcohol from these things. That country needs prayers and action. There's so much to talk about. And let me go to what I came here for. Iponju makes me Yoruba. What else? I owe the inspiration for this topic to my very good friend, enabler and mentor, Professor Pius Adesami. Give him a round of applause. Bí èkó ló bá júbà ilẹ̀ alámú. Bí ọmọdé bá mọwọ́ wẹ̀, á bá àgbà jẹun. Ìbà Ọlọ́run, ìbà ènìyàn. Ìbà èyí tí Elédùmarè gbé ilé ayé lé lọ́wọ́. Ìbà ọkùnrin, ìbà obìnrin. Ìbà ọmọdé, ìbà àgbà. Ẹ jẹ́ ojú mi ṣe. The chairman, Senator Femi Ojudu, my host, the AFENIFERE Renewal Group, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in pre-colonial and colonial times, it was always in Igba Iponju that we rallied around a Yoruba identity. My task in this keynote lecture is to determine why the adversity model is not working and recommend the necessity of a transcendental Yoruba identity that does not rely solely on the stimulus of Iponju. Unknown to many of us, the mention of the name Yoruba in written tradition was first found in Ahmed Baba's Miraj as-Suud and in Fak al-Mesur written by Muhammad Bello. These Arabic writers were the earliest to name us collectively as Yaruba, or Yoruba, as derived from the Arabic alphabet Yao, Ro, Ba. This was at a time when we were referring to ourselves by our diverse ethnic identities as Ife, Ekiti, Ijesha, Ibadan, Ijebu, Akoko, and so on. Like other major ethnic groups in Nigeria, we considered ourselves as belonging to a city-state or what is referred to as sub-ethnicities today. Each sub-ethnic group was politically independent with its own separate identities. The term Yoruba originally referred only to the people of Oyo, and this thought persisted today, as my Akoko people still describe Oyo traders in places like Ikare as that Yoruba blacksmith near that African maple tree, as distinct from that Iwo butcher at Oba's market. Ìyẹn ni wípé bàbá Yorùbá alágbẹ̀dẹ tó wà ní abẹ́ igi arère yẹn ó yàtọ̀ sí ọkùnrin ìwọ alápàtà. Ẹ jẹ́ sọ ìtàn kékeré kan fún mi. 1976 mo ṣẹ̀bẹ̀ sí dàgbà ni. Bàbá mi ní kí n lọ, wọ́n wá kọ ìwé fún mi pé Bamidele wá lọ sọ́jà lọ ra nǹkan ìlú ọbẹ̀ wá. Ẹran 1 naira 20 kobo, ẹja 50 kobo, bá a ṣe náà láyé ìgbà yẹn. Tó tó ẹ̀yìn tí ẹjù mi lẹ́yìn bàbá mi àti ìyá mi tó wà lórí ìjókòó. Wọ́n wá ní tó bá ti dé Alápàtà kó o béèrè lìádí láti Ìwó. Mo wá wọkọ̀ mo dé Independence Road náà pè bẹ̀ lọ́nà General Hospital. Mo ń rìn lọ tààrà. Mo ti máa ń tẹ̀lé bàbá mi lọ sí odò ẹran mi. Ìgbà tó kù díẹ̀ kí n débẹ̀, ilé Jimoh Aliu tí wọ́n jẹ́ ògbóǹtarìgì nínú eré orí ìtàgé ó wà ní apá ọ̀tún. Mo wá rí wọn tí wọ́n ń ṣètò àwọn nǹkan tó ń fẹ́ ṣe. Mo bá jókòó síbẹ̀, mo lanú lẹ̀, mo bá ń wòran. Ìgbà tí mò ń bọ̀ títí mo fi dé ọ̀dọ̀ Jimoh Aliu ni mò ń ṣe lìádí kí n má bàa gbàgbé. Ṣùgbọ́n ìgbà tí mo dé ọ̀dọ̀ Jimoh Aliu mo ti wòran títí. Nígbà tí mo ti wòran tó ní ó yẹ kí n tètè dódò ẹran, mo bá sá débẹ̀. Nígbà tí máa dé odò ẹran kọ́, igúnnugún lọ bí igúnnugún nìyí. Àwa máa rí igún bíi méjì bí ẹyọ kan. A sì máa kọrin nígbà náà ní èdè ìlú mi ní Ẹ̀fìn Àkókó. Òkú lò gbàgbà ẹyẹ igán. Òkú lò gbàgbà. Òkú lò yẹn ní mo kọ́. Mo ka igún tó 100. Ìgbà tí máa tún fi rántí, kí ni bàbá mi porúkọ ẹni tí máa ra ẹran lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀. Nígbà náà dẹ̀ ní àwọn mùsùlùmí tí mo gbọ́njú mọ̀ kò ju Mr. Suberu àti Mr. Umaru lọ. Ni máa ń ṣe Suberu, Mẹ̀múdù, Ìmáàrù. Orúkọ yóò jọ. Mo bá rántí iye ẹgbà tí máa jẹ́ ilé. Bí bàbá mi ṣe máa fẹ́ gba ìdá bàtà mi sí lára. Mo bá bú sẹ́kún. Ọkùnrin kan wá wúwo ní ta ni mò ń wá. Mo ní Suberu ni. Ó ní kò sí Suberu bí o. Ok, ẹjọ́ ṣé Umaru náà wà? Ó ní kò sí Umaru. Nígbà tó bá yá wá ní kí ni wọ́n ní kó rà? Mo ní wọ́n ní tí n bá ti dé ọ̀dọ̀ wọn lójijì ó kàn wá sí mi lórí pé wọ́n ní ọkùnrin ìwà alápatà. Wọ́n ní ṣé lìádí? Wọ́n ní lìádí. Ìgbà tí máa délé wákàtí 5 ti kọjá mo jẹ pàǹsà ìyànjọ́ náà. Ṣùgbọ́n ọ̀rọ̀ tí mò ń sọ yìí títí di òní wọ́n á sọ pé ọkùnrin Ìjẹ̀ṣà, ọkùnrin Ìwó àbí ọkùnrin Yorùbá yẹn tán bá ti sọ bẹ́ẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ ni wọ́n bá wí. Ẹ máa bá mi kà lọ. As narrated earlier, Yoruba identity did not exist prior to its definition and codification. We also know that this cultural space we call Yoruba was marred in irresolvable conflict of sub-ethnic cultures and oppositional collective identities before its construction. The idea of a modern Yoruba was constructed with strategic, cultural, and political goals in mind. And the reality that it represents is also used strategically. From the foregoing, we can visualize the ethno-cultural space as known as Yoruba as an idea, an identity, and a reality, and that forms the core of my thoughts. Which means the Yoruba as a nationality is a structural force in which ideas and identities are formed within the existing historical realities. Evidence from pockets of Yoruba culture in West Africa, South America, and some parts of North America bears witness to the Yoruba as a product of a complex civilization that transcends the current region and polity. The evolution progressed as an idea and an identity that evolved as a cultural frame of reference, a geopolitical reality, and later as a self-conscious political bloc. The transformation and the cultural shift that happened with it is conjoined with its ethno-cultural values, with real effects on collective identities. With all these great philosophical arguments and principles, the Yoruba is in want of a governing ideology. We do not have a comprehensive system of thought, a unified program for the future, and we do not have a definitive political doctrine for mass mobilization. This is what is called an ideology. We will have an ideology when we attach our geographic space with concrete political interest. We cannot borrow this ideology. It must be organic. It must be homegrown. Àwọn àgbàlagbà sọ pé àwínà owó kò yẹ ni, àgbàbọ́ ṣòkòtò kò yọmọ ènìyàn, bí kò fúnni lẹ́sẹ̀ aṣọ ohun ẹni ní bá ní mu. The task before us is to use our cultural ideas as part of political identity building processes for them to become ideologies. This generation must rise to the occasion and form a cohesive collective identity in which the Yoruba idea, the identity, and the reality becomes a kind of consciousness. We must adopt to what Pius Adesanya on this platform called the Atumbi paradigm. We must be born again. It is an urgent necessity because it was colonialism and conquest that unified Yoruba land. It was not peace, and it isn't solidarity. Ìkòkò tó máa jà táwọn nídìí rẹ̀ àkọ́kọ́ gbóná, ta ló mọ orin yẹn? June 12 remains one of the most remarkable dates in Nigeria's political history, as it has shaped Nigeria's successive elections and democracy. The June 12 was our catalytic Iponju. The 1993 presidential election, widely acclaimed free and fair, and won by late Chief Moshood Abiola, was annulled by General Ibrahim Babangida-led military regime when efforts to stop the election failed. June 12 became a catalyst for Yoruba Iponju identity, as it reminded us of our identity as Yoruba within Nigeria as a country. As a result of the annulment, we felt cheated, and the Iponju acted as a catalyst for the reordering of our political priorities. The June 12 Iponju gave the needed bite to the AFENIFERE. The AFENIFERE was formed earlier in 1993 as a social-cultural organization for the Yoruba people. It had Abraham Adesanya as its leader and Chief Bola Ige as deputy leader. Other founding members were Paul Nosanya, Chief Ruben Fashionti, Adegbonmire, Okunrohun, Ganiu Daudu, Olaniran Ajayi, Olufalaye, Adebayo Adefarati, Alhaji Adeyemo, and Ayo Adebanjo. Iponju galvanized the AFENIFERE and the entire Yoruba such that when the Alliance for Democracy political party was formed in 1998, it adopted the AFENIFERE agenda as its official manifesto. As soon as the AD won in all the Yoruba states, everyone retreated into their sub-ethnic caves until the next Iponju came along. Of course, Iponju is a constant in life, and the ill-prepared are often taken unawares. Iponju came again. When the People's Democratic Party in 2003 made an attempt to create a one-party state, it used sophisticated chicanery and garrison politics to win the Southwest. Only Tinubu and Lagos stood as lone survivor of the political onslaught. The loss of Ondo, Ogun, Oyo, Osun, and Edo states in 2003 elections created the atmosphere for rancor and split within AFENIFERE. The politics was bitter at the level of treasury within the ranks grew. It became a classic situation of àdàbà kò fi oúnjẹ sọ́fun òrófó, oníkálùkù ń wá oúnjẹ sí ọ̀fun ara rẹ̀. Some political juggernauts emerged from the ashes of the election loss. The loss reshaped Yoruba politics, and Yoruba bọ̀ wọ́n ní àkùkọ kékeré kò gbọdọ̀ kọ níbi tí ńlá gbé wà. We are still paying the wages of the split today and facing the consequences of it. In 2008, the AFENIFERE Renewal Group was formed with the stated intent of reuniting the feuding factions as an alternative to the faction headed by the older generation of Nigerians. and Yoruba leaders. Once again, Yoruba forgot the long adage that says, "Àgbà ní jẹ orí àdán, ọmọdé ní jẹ orí ẹyẹkẹyẹ." Concern to us is the nature of the difference that is being constructed because identities are relational. It is also important to distinguish between personal and collective identities. Being an Omoluabi is a personal identity, it's not a collective identity. Personally, we can all be Omoluabis and have the Omoluabi ethos, but we must subscribe to a collective Yoruba spirit of Ìṣọ̀kan, ìwà àti òtítọ́. To my host, the AFENIFERE Renewal Group, I would like to say, kí ẹrú ó mọra ẹ̀ lẹ́rú, kí wọ̀fà ó mọra ẹ̀ ní wọ̀fà, kí ọmọlúwàbí mọra ẹ̀ lẹ́rú ọ̀run. Let the slave realize he's a slave. Let the pawn realize he's a pawn. Let the Omoluabi realize he's a slave of the gods. You are here to serve Yoruba land, do not expect any reward. In the end, I cannot do but galvanize you to the timeless composition and rhythm of the great cultural warrior and genius, the late Hubert Ogunde, who in his exasperation in 1964 wrote and performed the play Yoruba Ronu, Yoruba Think. In what was the first instance literary censorship in post-independence Nigeria, Ogunde delivered a biting attack on the premier of Western region, and his company was banned from the region. His exhortation is as relevant then as it is now. The AFENIFERE Renewal Group and the Yoruba Nation is that we must shed our Iponju identity and subject ourselves to the inviolable and immutable ideal and core, the Yoruba spirit of Ìṣọ̀kan, ìwà àti òtítọ́. Yorùbá ronú, gbé sókè.